Hello one and all, welcome to Gelvin Valley, a beautiful map for Farming Simulator 15 created by Wild Wes. And given that we're over 200 episodes in here, I definitely have been enjoying myself. You know what, I have just enough to get started here on this particular field, and I'm going to have a long drive ahead of me with the tractor, which is still on the other side of the valley. It has our seeds in it for replenishing our tractor. I'm gonna hit that stupid. Oh no, I went. Oh, you know what I did? I bet I took the collision off of that fence post at some point down the line, just to make it a little bit easier on myself. We are planting the Stonehenge field. We're still planting canola, and the outer ground is always a little ticklish because I can't see where I'm going. And most of the time the camera orientation that I have in here is directly overhead or behind, so I can see kind of where to drive. I sure wish. Now, did I take the collision off at this fence first? Huh, I must have just got a little too close when I came through here with the plow to rip this out. Speaking of that, I'm kind of looking forward to doing it again on the new fields that we have in here. So as soon as I get everything planted, I can't do that. I did this backwards. Oh shoot, you know, I need to do something with this edge. That, I know when you get close it forces you inward. Maybe that's how I should be playing it, so you can't look out over the edge, but it does kind of hinder suspension of reality when you just look out over the abyss. Wes tried to helpfully put some trees there. I think I need to put some rocks. Oh, look, we have some straw. We never picked that up. Wonder how we missed that. Anywho, you know, it's taken me a long time. You know, as I say on my YouTube channel, I think, man, I am just a novice. I am not a professional YouTuber. I don't know hardly anything about videos or editing. I barely can do, you know, the things that I do here, and anything I do know how, it's because Atomic 67 taught me. So I always have that caveat. Well, there's something else that took me a long time to figure out, you know. Well, one was getting a separate microphone for talking into. Oh, there's another little scrap of straw. Sheesh, we're wasteful. So I do have a separate microphone versus in-game sound. So at least it's picking it up on 2 tracks. That's helpful in editing because it means I can adjust the sound of the game separately from the sound of my voice. So if I need to boost the volume up, or usually what I end up doing is quieting the volume on the in-game stuff, and then if need be I boost my voice because there's always kind of a mismatch. But something else that I didn't realize was microphone interference. For the longest time, until the past couple episodes, I have listened to the game. Well, that's what I'm doing now. Of course I'm listening to the game while I'm talking into this microphone. But what I mean is the microphone also picked up a little bit of sound. You know, it's coming through the speakers. I didn't have it on too loud, but it was loud enough. And I finally picked up on it, and it's kind of like, what is that distorted bit of sound I'm hearing? It's just, you know, when the microphone wasn't close to it, it was kind of distorting it a little bit as it came through the second time. So, but I finally figured out it has to be this microphone picking up the sound of the game. So you have the sound of the game going in on one track, and then you have a distorted version of it picked up by the same mic that I use to speak into it. So now I guess the only way to fix it, and this is why, if you ever see a picture of a professional broadcaster, aren't they wearing headphones? And it's gotta be so it shuts out, they can hear other sounds, but I think it's to shut out everything else so it doesn't go into the microphone. You know, so I don't know. I'm just trying to do that. I realize that if I hit my desk, that sound is still going to come through the mic, so I can't prevent that. But I can turn off the sounds coming through the computer. So I don't know. I'm trying to learn here. It's probably not even it won't improve the quality of what I'm trying to do, hardly one iota. But I am trying to learn a few things here as I continue stumbling around at this. I imagine by now, if Atomic 67 was still alive, he probably would have told me something to that effect. But he's not here, and I am still missing him. Well, look at that. We were able to get, 2 rounds. We came right to the beginning. Alright, so we're gonna pause here, and of course I gotta go clear across the valley. We're still trying to, here it is. Oh, Jiminy, we're gonna have ourselves a drive. Just as well turn on our indicators and get on out of here. I guess this was the last place where I actually filled the cedar, so now I've got to, wrong lane, wrong country. I don't want the right lane. I'm playing on another Farming Sim 15 save, and I haven't put in the map, the handy little device that I'm using so I can drive through the road vehicles. And I'm thinking I need to install it. Man, I tell you what, these vehicles, starting in Farm Sim 15, they're just hard as bricks, and they don't budge. In the versions prior, I mean, you could have a high old time bashing cars, and slipping them off the road, and it was only temporary. I mean, if you did it long enough, fiddled with them, eventually I think the script makes them disappear. If they can detect they're stopped and not continuing on this line. It eventually makes them go away. Or if you quit messing with them, eventually it'll just return to this line. There's no way to permanently disable them, much to the chagrin probably of all of the little boys that play this, including old little boys like myself. But not so in Farm Sim 15. They still definitely are on splines. That's how they move and know where to go where they go. But they are immovable. And so I kind of like having that script, so at the very least, I don't get held up, if I'm pulling a trailer and I cut a corner and there's a car sitting there, it could be kind of an awkward turn. At least now, I mean, it'll just kind of clip the edge of it and drive, right through it. Climb the hill to head on up. We got a little bit more climbing to do as soon as we get down here to catch up with our tractor. Over kind of on the west side of the valley, kind of as we toggle through, we still have our tractor. Oh, I just hit a head. Sorry, madam. Wow, that would have laid her flat. Anyway, when I get to talking, that reminds me. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. I can't remember if I've shared this story, but a long time ago, when I was working at Lone Oak Farms, in the summer, I was a teenager, and, just general farm hand. It was early one morning. I don't remember. I think I was driving a tractor with a water trailer out to the field where we were harvesting. We always, anytime we were out in the harvest field, we liked having some water available, just in the case there was a combine fire. I mean, it's bone dry out there. There's lots of straw. and the straw wasn't chopped, it was spread over the field. I mean, you could do a ton of damage, or a ton of damage could be done if a fire started, so we always wanted to have water out there. Well, my particular task that morning, I think, was taking it out to the field, so it was early as I recall, and I just remember, anybody that's been on the Lone Oak map, south of the farm, there's kind of an S-curve, and here we go. And so I was heading south and, headed into the S-curve, and I was going east and then turning south. Well, it was early morning. I was kind of looking at the hills beyond. I wasn't expecting anybody and just kind of glancing around. I wasn't paying attention to what was in front of me. Well, there was this couple who was out just having a morning walk, and I all of a sudden, shifted to the foreground as I'm driving this tractor and noticed that they were there, and it's like, oh my word, I won't say I just about ran them over, but it definitely startled me, and, I kind of saw them, that they were kind of crowding the road to get off out of my way, but I should have given them more space, and I didn't, and I felt terrible about that. At the moment, I was so startled, I just kept going, but then it was, I don't know if it was a couple days later, I was coming through there, I think in a pickup. We drove through there all the time, over the summer doing our farming, and I saw that same couple out there walking, and it's like, okay, pal, you need to buck up and apologize to these people for not paying attention. Anybody walking there is going to be a close by neighbor, and, first thing my boss would hear about it, one of my uncles, and I'd get chewed out or whatever, so I figured the only way to make sure that didn't happen was to take care of it myself, and so I stopped by with a couple and apologized, for not paying attention, and they were so nice about it. And it's one of those things, I've observed this in life, when someone does something to us through their inattention, it can really tick us off. So for all I know, the particular day when I made that blooper, they might have been plenty mad at me. But I've learned sometimes that when you make an apology, they're very gracious, and a lot of times they just want an acknowledgement that someone did something wrong, and it seems like it's human nature so much of the time, we don't want to take the blame, and so we just kind of cover over it as if it never happened, and I don't know, in this instance, I'm glad I took time to stop. Who knows what kind of problems I prevented for myself. But anyways, I had flashbacks kind of to that incident down we were driving the seed trailer over here, and I obviously plowed one of those pedestrians. So I'm sure there's probably the Gelvin Valley emergency crew is back over there dealing with it, and the police are out searching for the driver who fled the scene. Well, my screen is stuttering a little bit. Nope, no error. Okay, there's a couple conflicts. And it could be that it's stuttering a little bit because I'm making the computer work a little harder. I did a little bit of modding, and I don't know if any can tell. We haven't really been around the grass, but I noticed when we were cutting grass for the sheep, and we were over there, in the base version of the game, I don't think the grass is very thick. Well, here we can just kind of, doesn't that look a little bit thicker than it was before? Maybe it does. I think it does to my eyes. I don't know if it does to yours. Well, in the map i3d file, there's settings for how thick you make a crop or the foliage appear. I think it's called num blocks per unit, maybe, or something like that. I don't even know how big a unit it is. Maybe it's a meter by a meter square. And I think the grass setting was 1.6 per unit. So I bumped it up to 2, which is what I believe I use on my other map. I think it's a Glen Ellie save. I haven't done very many episodes on it. Hope to get to it at some point. But that one there, I tried to thicken it also, and I think that's a setting that I use. Of course, so that means if a unit is a square meter, that means every square meter on this map has substantially more grass appearing in it. And with a clip distance of 200 meters, that's a lot of, lot more grass. See, our clip distance goes way out here, 200 meters, where we see the foliage before it slips to the green. Well, maybe that's the field. Shoot. Yeah, maybe that's not a good example. Suffice it to say, we can see the foliage at 200 meters away, and there's just a lot more to see. So maybe that's why I'm detecting a little stuttering, and I don't know, maybe I'll end up changing it back or it's all over with. Played another map and it stuttered a little bit too, but if I open, well, see, now that says 60. Oh, with this, I got little stanglies that aren't planted on the corners. Let me just swing down and take care of that. Yeah, I'm glad I got a stronger tractor this time. It's pretty steep in here, so I'm glad to have something able to climb the hills. Of course, we paid a pretty penny for it. I'm going to need to lease it and the planter a little bit longer here in order to finish planting, but it is what it is. So that's one little bit of modding, and by the way, that doesn't make any changes to how much material that you're able to cut for grass or in the other crops. If you make it look thicker and lusher, all you're doing is the visuals in game. You could have it have no foliage at all, I assume, and you could still harvest it and it would have the same yield and everything. It's solely for the visuals. So yeah, I just don't know why I'm stuttering just a little bit, it seems, but yet I'm on full FPS. I think the maximum I can get with this monitor is 60. So, who knows. The thing that took me a little longer to mod this particular evening in the map is something I visited about in a previous episode. As I eyeball the trees that we planted some time ago down there, and I'm going to need to cut them at some point. Just for you, Russell, I know how much you love forestry stuff. But hey man, I'm desperate. I got to earn some money in here to help float the farm. So, but I want to, the only option I really had was to sell the logs outright, and I think, or you can turn them into wood chips, and Wes has the price kind of cranked down on what you're able to get for wood chips. I think it's 40% of what the value is, so you might even make more money selling logs than you do wood chips. And really the only option you have in here for selling wood chips is kind of at the biomass place, basically to sell them as compost type something or other. So I was thinking, well, maybe then we need to introduce a couple placeables. We can turn it into, there's a nice placeable sawmill mod that I've used many times. It turns it into board pallets, so you can sell it as palleted boards. And I think you are still ultimately selling wood chips when you do that. It's just now when you sell it, it would go at full value with the pallet versus being limited. And the sawmill's going to put off wood chips as a byproduct, and so you still could take it over to the biomass place. But then I was thinking, well, maybe I could turn it into pellets. I think you can do that. There's a I think it's like a Universal Process Kit mod, a UPK mod, that someone made a pellet mill, and I believe the input is wood chips, so you can turn them into pellets, and then you can sell the pellets I'm not sure where all you could sell them. It may even add it to one of the places, you know, where you take the grain, but probably what I would do is that same mod has a placeable dump point for the pellets. You know, kind of like how some wood stoves are powered by pellets. So I was thinking I would place a few of these kind of around Gelvin Valley where there are other homes, and then as pellets are available, there's probably a certain amount you can put in each one, and then it sells it over time. Kind of like our fruit stand is doing down there, and it's it's maddeningly slow. You know, it's some I would love to just be able to sell all those apples and be done with it, and ditto probably with the pellets that we'll be producing. But I don't know. It's one way to slow it down, and I would say too, by selling them slower, I presume it gives the market more opportunity to stay at a high point. You know, in a previous episode was visiting kind of about that. You know, it isn't what you have in storage, but it's what you literally sell. And the more you sell of something, the harder pounding, you know, the price takes of and that's the main reason we're planting canola, because it's been so long since we've had any canola, because the price of wheat and barley are depressed. And I'm waiting for barley to recover. I hope I can hang on, you know, with other revenue sources and keep what I have in storage until, you know, the price improves by quite a bit, just so I can squeeze out some more profits. But you know, when you're in financial difficulty, which the farm is, you know, you don't have staying power, so I may end up having to sell some of it whether I like it or not. So on those other mods, you know, whether it's the pellet mill or the sawmill, there was plenty of area Wes had already in the map, you know, where I could put these as placeable. But I was eyeballing the place that he has. Let's see, this is in the upper northwest portion of the map, kind of where the radio tower is. It's on that same hill, just a little bit down lower on it. He had a couple sheds in there, and one of the sheds had a storage place for wood chips. And really, yeah, I'm not sure how he built it or why he chose to put wood chips there. The sawmill's kind of on the other side of the, and really most of the forest is kind of on the other side. But anyway, I mean, be all that as it may, since it had storage for wood chips there already, I figured, you know, can I turn this place into a spot where I could put, you know, the sawmill and that kind of thing. And I think I had to make it a little bit more spacious, you know, to give room for both the sawmill and the pellet mill. But once I'm able to afford it, you know, the sawmill I think is $250,000. I don't remember what the pellet mill is. But once I'm able to afford it and get those placed, I'll do so. And if need be, you know, I wrote down, as I was messing with the map, I imported the i3D files so I could, you know, just make sure it all set there nice. So I wrote down the map coordinates of where they're supposed to sit. So I'll do the best I can to place them in game at some point, and then I'll just probably tweak. Because you never know when you're putting down a placeable what it's looking for, and it may not quite go where you intended, and it's like, well, you can get rid of the silly thing, but then you gotta pay for the thing all over. You know, the Giants didn't have an undo button. Maybe in later versions they did, but in this version we don't. So when you place it, it's a $250,000 haircut. You maybe get something if you sell it to redo it, but then you're gonna pay the $250,000 again just to place it again. I know there's a mod out there, I think it's called Enhanced Place or whatever it is, you know, where it helps you, because it's looking at a number of things as it places it, you know, to make sure it's not too close to something else and isn't being placed over the top of some obstruction, yada yada. Well, the Enhanced Placement mod, I think, helps circumvent some of that, so you're able to place it tighter and closer than you otherwise would be able to. So it took me a long time. I think I spent a couple hours on that tonight trying to get that area all cleaned up. Of course, it didn't help that the editor crashed in the middle of it. I had to redo the whole thing. And, you know, I was hitting save, and it was during the save process, you know, when the editor crashed. And anybody listening to this who's done their own modding, I mean, you know exactly what that feels like. It seems like, you know, I will say one thing, you know, at least this, after something like that happens, I save way more frequently, you know, as I redid it all. And of course, and it works perfect, you know, it never crashed again. But oh, the joys and pains of modding and having to redo your hard work. And at least it goes quicker the second time because you kind of know what you're doing. Hit there. Alright, nether field down, and we'll get to this one here and maybe get it also completed in the episode that we're doing here. Still putting in more canola. Trying to think when. See, I know I got a bunch of money to spend on cattle and running these sheep. Oh, sheep! Hold on a minute here. I want to make sure these guys have food. 26, yeah, I see they are mowing down what I put in there. At least they're 100% productivity. We're making wool, so that's good. Makes me wonder how many pallets we have over there. But I do need to be careful to remember to feed them, or else I ain't going to be producing any wool. It's just I have, you know, I kind of started off with just a handful that I could afford, but then I got into debt again. And I got to remember, I have 600 of the little guys, so of course they're going to be hungry, and I need to take time to do chores. And maybe, I don't know if I'm going to last until, yeah, see, my lease is up in 42 minutes on this thing. So maybe what that means is, I don't think I'll be quite done with the next episode. So that's just to take time to go do that. I know it all takes time. I got to drive a tractor over there and take care of it. But it does need to be done, and I'm gonna have to rent. I'm gonna have to get more time anyhow. Just lots of things to do in here, so I'm excited about the sheep. I want them to crank out wool, and I don't even... How lucrative is the wool? Hold on a sec here. Does it have the price of wool? Wool. No, I don't see the price of wool. Oops, maybe it's over wool. $1.20. Is that per liter? Huh. Oh, that's what it is. $1.20 a liter. Yeah, I guess time will tell whether it's a money maker. It seems like, I mean, it takes money to make money. You can beat your head against the wall trying to feed, you know, just a handful of sheep, you know, and you can get a trailer load of food, and it will take them forever and a day to eat it. But it also is going to take forever and a day to generate wool. Blimey, it's steep in here. Oops. Once again, I'm glad to have some strength under the hood with this particular tractor. Take care of our planting. Still got plenty. I might even be able to do the other field that's kind of in back of me at the far southwest corner of the map. That's kind of the highlands down there. So that's kind of what I've been doing in the map. I still need to work on a mod where we can kind of do a timber survey. I would love to be able to walk out in the forest, stand under a tree, and be able to tell what growth state the tree is in. So basically that I know when it's fully grown, mature tree, and that it's grown as far as it's going to grow, because I mean it takes a long time to get the trees up and going, so I don't want to cut them prematurely. So, but it'd be nice to walk next to the tree and just know kind of at a glance, like up in the help menu, just well, first off, what kind of a tree it is. That'd be kind of cool to see too. Although we can basically tell by looking at it. I think he has maples and firs or whatever in here. Maybe they're pines. But to be able to tell and to know what the growth state it's in, I don't know, maybe I can even have it show how long it's going to take to continue growing. I assume somebody would know that, a professional, forestry professional that went out in the forest. I mean, shoot, if they could tell how much timber there is in a stand, you know, then surely they know what the passage of time is going to do with said timber. So yeah, still need to work on that. It seems like there was something else I was going to work on too, but that slips my mind at the moment. The main thing is I wanted to make space. There's a bell, time flies. The main thing is I wanted to make space over by where Wes put the wood chip storage, you know, so we could flunk in a sawmill and a pellet maker. And now we have room, but I have no idea just when I'm going to be able to, because I don't have enough money to do it now. I have half as much, basically, but I basically got to go through another harvest, you know, to see what I can accumulate. And I'll have a couple new fields, you know. Even in holding over the harvest and selling only the bales, you know, it's still generated, what was that, almost 100 grand of revenue just selling the straw bales? You know, so that was enough to take me out of the red, and I could buy a bunch of sheep with my start in that. So even if I get through another harvest, that could, as I add more property, there'll be more to do. You know, so I should have more coin clinking in the bank that'll allow me to maybe put in the mill. Because I know those trees are getting close to being harvestable. But for now, we are planting. Thank you so much for coming along to see Gelvin Valley once more. Hope you're still enjoying it. I know I am. Y'all have a wonderful day. I will see you on the next one.